This is my sixth attempt at this. I'm going to keep two of these blooper reels for y'all to just see what I'm dealing with. But it's a serious video, and people just refuse to let me make this damn video. And here we go again. So, when I left off, before I got exceptionally pissed off, which I am right now, I was talking about how I had to keep dealing with this dude who kept calling me Chief for 3 years. And I couldn't decide if I wanted to say if the dude was a racist or just being a dick. I don't know what he was going through. I don't know what his life circumstances was. But I do know that for 3 years, he wouldn't stop calling me Chief. Now, after that first year, you get to thinking, okay, this is more than just, this dude not knowing my name. This is more than just this dude having nothing better to do with his life but come to my job and constantly harass me by calling me Chief. Whatever he's going through, he needs to stop. And, keep the shit real. Stop calling me fucking Chief. My damn name is James. There are no feathers. There's no head feathers. There's no war paint. Stop calling me. I know my heritage now. You don't have to keep rubbing it in my face. By the time I got 19, I'm about ready to punch this dude in the face. But I didn't, but I'm thinking, this dude, you can't keep calling me Chief, dude. That's not my fucking name. And I think that if he probably would have called me Scout, I probably wouldn't have been as offended as I was as Chief. Which goes back to what I was saying in the other videos that I deleted about how many times our President Trump kept calling Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas. Now see, if you're not part Native American, if you're not mixed, if you're not Native American at all, you don't know how it relevates or how the relevance is of being called somebody that you are not. Pocahontas was a hero. Sacagawea was a hero. Geronimo was a hero. The depictions of Native Americans in Western movies and stuff, with the exception of Geronimo and Indian in the Cupboard and Last of the Mohicans and other films, they rarely actually had Native Americans play Native Americans. They generally had some Italian fellows play them. And then same thing could be said with wrestling and stuff like that. And, it got to the point where you're like, okay, somewhere down the line here, there's some miscommunications. And when it comes down to this stuff, just because someone makes a racist statement doesn't necessarily make them a racist, but does it? Because, I personally didn't know where to take that when the man wouldn't stop calling me Chief. I could have said, hey dude, you're fucking being racist. And maybe that would have stopped it. But when you're 16, 17, 18, and 19, you don't really know how to approach an adult as a teenager and say, could you please stop doing that? And yes, I did do that at 17, which goes back to, I didn't know if this dude was going through some shit, or if this dude was just a blatant racist or just a dick. It's hard to say, because some people, it's like if you know a guy named Jeff and you don't like him, so you keep calling him Jeff, or somebody who's left-handed and you keep calling him Lefty just to insult him because he's the only left-handed person on the team. Or somebody who's not so good looking, and you continue to berate them over their looks, and you start calling them ugly, and you start making everybody else call them ugly, and eventually that person is going to hit you or commit suicide, and then you're going to be like, damn, I probably shouldn't have done that. And that's kind of the thing was with him calling me Chief. It's like, dude, man, I ask you every day that I see you to please call me by my damn name. Stop calling me Chief. And he would stop calling me Chief. Until I finally got a new job and got the hell away from there. Never saw the guy after I stopped working at Kegler's. Never saw him again. But I also never went back to Kegler's, except to get my last check. And by the grace of God, he wasn't there when I got my last check. And I said to myself, as long as I'm breathing, I'm never going to go through this shit again. And when I got fired from Burger King, it was because of some racist shit. And the thing with that was, my boss, Don Vaughn, we had got reprimanded. Mountain Valley Corporation had told us night porters that we couldn't go and walk in because apparently someone was from whichever Burger King without great notice, but I got a 2-page letter that said, I, James Williams Jr., it literally said if you are a night porter or a night cleaner guy or whatever the hell my job was at the time, that we are not allowed to go and walk in because somebody is stealing bag after bag after bag of Burger King French fries. And I don't even like French fries. I can't stand the damn things. I don't give a damn where they came from. The only French fries I ever really liked was Jack and Jill, and I can make them at home because Jack and Jill, basically the secret is a fuck ton of seasoning salt. So, I can make them at home. But the problem is, nothing was as good as Jack and Jill's, even made at home. But I really just don't like French fries. If I have to eat potatoes, I prefer them mashed or baked. And I don't like potato wedges. You know, even if they have seasoning salt, I don't like them. But somebody was stealing from the walk-in at Burger King. So, don't know if it was my Burger King, but Mountain Valley, I don't know what they did with the letter. I didn't throw it away. I'm not a person who generally throws away a lot of mail. And it stated on there that no night porter under no circumstances whatsoever is allowed in that walk-in. And this is where shit went from bad to worse with Don Vaughn. So, I'm working, and he started talking down to me, you know, so he's telling me this, that, and whatever. And from day one, I knew that I wasn't going to have a good job with this guy, but I needed the job. So I got there and I told him, I was like, look, I got this thing in the mail from upper management. We're not allowed to go and walk in. All right, don't worry about it. So later that night, I hadn't even been there the full hour before I got fired. Later that night, technically he forced me to quit. But, so there was some French fry racks. French fries, the shit that people were stealing, that we're not supposed to go in the walk-in. So I was like, dude, I ain't supposed to go in the walk-in. I'm your boss. Go in the walk-in. Get the French fry rack out. Wash it off. So I did that. Put it back. Came back out. Then there was some other shit that was going on. And somebody had another mustard fight. And I told him I wasn't cleaning that up. And the long story short is, he looked at me and said, I'm your fucking boss. And you will fucking do what I fucking tell you to do or you're fucking out of here, buddy. And I said, well, fucking thank you because I'm fucking out of here. Now, there's a thing about Native Americans that I was taught as a child. It's like probably the only Native American thing that I was taught, and it's probably not even true. Somebody just probably suggested it in my head. And I had left my great-grandmother, who's Cherokee's, radio. You don't leave anything that belongs to any Native American behind because it gives them like a permanent attachment to something or whatever. I don't know how that shit was explained to me. But I know that in my heart I wasn't supposed to leave that radio there, and it was my radio. So, it was my great-grandmother's radio, so I had to go back and get it. And when I got in there, this asshole said, that half-breed don't know no kung fu, and he couldn't fight his way out of a wet paper bag with holes in it. And he didn't know that I was standing right behind him, and since he already called me half-breed, I got racist too. And I said, I will beat your lily white ass right here, right now. See that scarlet spider head? That's how red he turned. And he said, what? I said, you heard what the fuck I said. Now you want to fight? You want to take this shit outside so we can solve this problem right now, buddy? And he goes, thank you for threatening me in front of grown people. I said, hold on, dude. These two grown men, they want me to hit you. Because, see, they have families. They have to take your shit. I don't have kids. So if I get fired or go to jail, it's no big fucking deal. But I can tell you one damn thing. I will beat you from pillar to post about this motherfucker because this half-breed actually does know kung fu. And said before that, I was a street fighter. So, how you want to play this shit? Well, I said, no, this is how it's going to work. When I come get my check, my last check, you're going to respect me. Or I'm going to snatch you over that fucking counter, and I'm going to beat your lily white ass in front of all your fucking customers. And anybody who tries to stop me, I'm going to fuck them up. And if you still want to fight right now, I will fuck you up right now. I came back from my radio. So yeah, I'm a half-breed. But don't understand one thing for sure. My ass can fight. Get that through your head real quick. Don't think because you're bigger than me that you can't get your ass dusted out this motherfucker. Because many have tried and many have laid at my foot. So I grabbed my radio and I left. Some bitch called the cops on me. So I got in my car and I had moved to the Hallmark parking lot where I sat on the hood of my car waiting. Because I told him if he come outside, I was going to beat his ass. So without a shadow of a doubt that if he stepped outside, I was going to beat his ass. And so, about that time, Albemarle County cops came through, and they were in the parking lot, and they rolled around. And they happened to see me. And they got out of the car, and they were looking for me. And I was like, I'm over here. It's like, what? I said, you can't touch me. It's like, what? I said, I haven't touched him. You can't touch me. I said, now y'all got two choices. Y'all can wait for him to come outside like I'm going to do. I said, then y'all can arrest me because I'm going to beat his ass. And that's all to that. I say because his racist ass needs to have his ass kicked, be brought down a notch, or y'all can come over here and arrest me for nothing. Because I haven't touched him, I only threatened him. I said, but I promise you this, I know where he works. So after I get out of jail, I'm just going to come right back over here and beat his ass again. So it ain't really going to matter. And so I'm just going to keep beating him up. And so the more y'all arrest me, the more he's going to be in the hospital. And so I'm going to break every rib in his body. Because one, he shouldn't have called me a half-breed. And two, he should not have assumed that I can't fight. And I was young, man. I was like maybe 22, 23, somewhere in there. Old enough to know better, but dumb enough to not. And it got racist. So, this town has always had some racist shit going on. It's always, whether you are oblivious to it or not, if you have never been the victim of racism, then you would not know what it feels like to be on the giving end of an ass whooping from you being racist. But he was about to be on the giving end of an ass whooping because I was about to give him every bit of it. So the cops hung around for about 2 minutes, and I hung around for about 10. And then the cop said, well, we'll be back. I said, yeah, well, I'll still be here. And I was bored and mad as hell. Because I went to the job at 11, and I got off at about 11:45 because I was fired. So I waited until about like 12:30, maybe 12 o'clock. Wasn't wearing a watch, so it doesn't matter. So then I went home. And I went to go get my check a week and a half later. And when I got that check, you better believe it was, here you go, sir. Thank you, sir. And I, in my gluttony and my stupidity and my youth, said, you damn right you better call me, sir. I said, did you tell everybody how you treated me? How you called me a half-breed? How you said I couldn't fight my way out of a wet paper bag with holes in it? Because I don't work here anymore. I said, now I can do whatever the fuck I want. And if you piss me off before I get out this building, and there was like a building full of customers, and most of them were white. And I said, if you piss me off before I get out this building, I will snatch you over this goddamn counter. I will beat your white ass in front of all these white people, and no one in this building can stop me. And all of them looked at me and I said, let me make this abundantly clear. First and foremost, to any of you who will attempt to stop me, you should know that I know Kung Fu. Secondly, I love fighting, so the more the merrier. And thirdly, this asshole called me a half-breed and said that I couldn't fight my way out of a wet paper bag. So I'm going to show him what half-breeds can do when I snatch him over this motherfucking counter if he pisses me off before I leave this damn building. Anybody got a problem with that? You're next. So you can imagine a guy who's 5'3" threatening everybody in Burger King, which is probably another reason why Mountain Valley will probably never give me another job. Now, this goes back to Trump calling Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas. This Burger King incident, this Kegler's incident, never would have happened if they just called me by my name. Not half-breed, can't fight his way out of a wet paper bag, not chief. And then you want to know why I don't support Trump. Central Park 5 happened before that. I was young in 90, whatever the fuck that happened at. O.J. Simpson happened. Reginald Denny and Rodney King happened. But in my personal life, I kind of got tired of being called half-breed. I kind of got tired of being called chief. I got tired of the racist shit that happens in Charlottesville that nobody, took notice of until Miss Heyer was killed by a white dude from fucking Ohio who wanted to be a martyr to racist people, to the alt-right motherfuckers. And you think I'm going to support a person who's not man enough to apologize to 5 kids that allegedly raped a woman, that went to jail for a rape that they didn't commit, that DNA proved that the rapist actually confessed to, and these black cats suffered. And to all the black people that follows Trump, for your wallet, okay, I'll give you a hall pass. 'Cause you're lost, I'll give you a hall pass. But remember that he doesn't like people who don't look like him. Remember how he talks about Elizabeth Warren. Remember how they don't like Indians to me over casinos. Remember how all of the things that I've sent you video to of telling the Chinese reporter to go ask China. All of this shit is racist. You don't have to admit it, but it's racist. Period. And now that I've given you my story, you understand where I'm coming from with him calling her Pocahontas because some white dude called me chief for 3 years of my life. 3 years, from 16 to 19. Chief, chief, chief. If y'all don't understand that, it's because you haven't been the victim of racism. If you're Asian and you voted for this guy, he just hasn't reached your Asian yet. Simple as that. But, you forgot about the people who can't tell the fucking difference. You was this, me Chinese, me Japanese, I don't give a flying fuck, I'll beat you in the knees. Those guys, they would take a bat to you because you're Asian and they don't know what Asian you are. One of my fellow students who was in my class was telling me how she went somewhere and people were looking at her because she's Asian, and she was in fear for her life because of the simple fact that she was Asian, and people who were white were looking at her like they wanted to attack her because she was Asian. But I guess you guys don't understand what that feels like because he hasn't said nothing about your Asian specifically. And this young lady's a refugee. She was a refugee from one country, then moved to China, then moved to America. Alright? So I have nothing but sympathy for her. And no, it's not a pity party. But she's young. She's like barely in her 20s. Just barely. She might not even be 20. She might just be like 19. But I've been there. I've been the victim of racism since I was fucking 5 years old. I know what racism feels like. I know what it feels to have someone call you a half-breed or to think that you're nothing because you're not one of us. You're not really a black guy. You're not really a white guy. You're not really a Native American. You're that hybrid mutt. I know what that shit feels like. You don't. And if you don't, and you're following Trump, and if you're black and you're following Trump, or if you're like a Candace Owens fan, or whatever the hell her name is, and the twin black guys, I love y'all. But y'all gotta understand something. I chose the Democratic Party because the Democratic Party does look out for blacks. It's not as big as it should be, in the looking out for black department. That's not a lie. That's not a disguise. They do a lot for blacks, but they don't do half as much for blacks as they do for everyone else. That's a fact. But when I weigh the pros and cons, let's see, I had a red-headed troll racist to vote for, and I had a white guy who they claim can't remember shit and trips over his words. Well, hell, everybody trips over their words. Hell, my memory is not 1,000% accurate all the time because I've had some concussions, but I remember how I got the concussions. First concussion I had, 5 years old. Didn't count as a concussion, but there's a scar under all this thick eyebrow here from me thinking that I was William Katz and the greatest American hero and thinking that I could fly because I had curly hair. Didn't see his skin tone. Didn't see my skin tone because kids don't know about that shit. I seen a white dude in a red suit who could fly. I looked in the mirror, I seen a white dude with a red suit who could fly. My suit wasn't even red. I took a bed sheet and tied it around my neck. And I jumped off my mama's Maverick. And I crashed into a Heineken bottle. Cut my eye. Missed the first day of school. Now, they clearly couldn't find a concussion, but they clearly found the blood as they dug the glass out of my fucking head. Then there was me and my cousin Brian, who became a Muslim, who changed his name to Omar. We were jumping back and forth across a bench in my Aunt Ruth's yard, and smack! That's me. The irresistible force. Brian was the unmovable object. Now, we had jumped across this table 20, 30 fucking times. Never collided, not once. And we collide. I get a double whammy. My head hit his head, and then my head hit the ground. When I wake up, somehow they put me on the porch, and I got an ice pack in my hand. Someone put my hand holding the ice pack up here. And when I come around, there's a big whelp across my head, all the way across my head. Now, about like this long. And about that thick, too. And then there was Miss Early. We smacked heads playing football in 5th grade, or 4th grade. Burley Moran School. And I couldn't catch. The ball hit me in the chest, hit the ground, and somebody on my right said dive for it, and I dove for it. And obviously Miss heard the same order. And immovable object, irresistible force. Yeah. Irresistible force loses every time. So, when I woke up, I was in the office. Another concussion. That was the night I cussed my mom out and told her to batten down the hatches, wench, because I'm Christopher fucking Columbus, because that was like the last thing I learned at school before everything went black. In 1492, Columbus saw the ocean blue. I still remember that, but, concussions. But racist incidents, I've had them all my life. And if you haven't been the victim of racism, God bless you. I hope you never become the victim of racism. I hope your kids never become the victim of racism. But this is how we fall. When we Americans decide, fuck what's right, morally, and decide that all of our moral compasses are jumbled up. So we have the option of following a guy who stumbles over his feet and his mouth versus a bona fide 1000% racist. Now, when you watch the other videos, you'll see that I said that the guy who sucker punched the whoever the hell he is, Trump supporter or whatever, gets punched from a reach around. I specifically said there was no honor in that, and that guy clearly couldn't fight. Granted, he was honoring the black woman who got hit by the guy. I get why you did it, but you did it wrongly. There's no honor in sucker punching someone because you weren't man enough to square off with this motherfucker and get your ass beat. No. Then you should have just let it go. But nah, there's always somebody like that in the crowd. It's probably the same guy. I don't know how he has this money. They just keep going to these places, and the style is still the same. He just skips up behind him and pick him, reaches around him, knock the dude out, bust him up pretty good. Dude was bleeding. No, there's no honor in that. And then there's the other one, the other video, where the Trump protesters trying to incite a civil war, which goes back to this is how we fall. As long as we're fighting each other, it makes it easier for the enemy to attack us. If you're not a Mass Effect fan, let me drop this for you, because Mass Effect 3 does it best, I guess. Not the ending, but in Mass Effect 3, Shepard's fighting 2 wars. All right, technically he's fighting 3 wars. He's fighting the war to unite the entire galaxy to fight the Reapers. That's the main war. The little war he's fighting is the war against prejudice and the war against Cerberus. Cerberus is fighting to sabotage everything, which means he has to fight the Reapers plus Cerberus. Well, he ends the war with Cerberus, but the Reaper war still goes on. But if we all would have just united, including teaming up with Cerberus, the Reaper war probably would have been over with. So here's the thing. We're basically doing the same bullshit. No, we're fighting this little war against each other while the big guys are moving in nice and softly, and you're not even paying attention to that shit. You just thought that all these stories in these 2 videos were just gonna be like no moral lesson. Well, here's the moral lesson. If we're fighting each other, it makes it a lot easier for the enemy, whether they be within or without, to destroy us. So this is how we fall. Think about that shit. I'm going to make one more video about this, and that'll be it. It's Comfort After number 2. VC and Neo.